Good morning. It is November the 5th, 2011. Bitcoin prices have gapped down overnight on the CME and made a $1,000 drop in recovery within like 5 minutes. Now, is that going to be the premonition for the next phase of the market, or did the CME finally fill its own gap and we're all good to go higher? Let's jump into this episode of the Bull Market Watch and see what's going on with Bitcoin. I did a complete butchery of the intro, but this isn't trading advice. You can pause the video to read through the disclaimer. There's a link in the description down below as well. Hey, good morning. Good to have you along. Let's jump in. Good morning from England. Phenomenal. Hope you're having a warm day over there. Probably not. You're settling into winter like we are here now. Hello from Germany. Good to have you along. Hello from Canada. Let me know how the sound is doing today. I've been working on that, so hopefully I'm not too loud and I've got the mic set up better. I want to start off with a longer outlook right now and zoom into Bitcoin price in a second. So we'll come back to this 10-second chart to see what's going on, if there's any news for us to take a look at. But just briefly, there are some big green wicks down here of buying. And this was all happening at about the same time that the CME did its move down. And I've got that chart over here. So just this morning, this did the huge wick down. If I zoom into the 1 minute chart, pull this back a little bit, it was just recently, it just did a huge wick down and pulled back up. So I want to know now, is this a premonition for what's coming on with cryptos and Bitcoin specifically? Let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to start through the sequence of things I want to look at so that we can get down to that answer. Because the answer is a little different than I've been thinking yesterday. Things change so fast right now when you're at the point of a triangle. When I take a look at the longs versus the shorts, what are the longs doing? This is way back up now. Way back up to the July levels where I was looking for prices to come up to these levels, longs to get super excited, and then they get hammered. So now, with the longs just the last couple days being nice and low, that was good, but they just absolutely flipped positions here to way too high compared to where the market is. And that kind of gives me the willies, especially when I see that big wick down in the CME. Is that the futures guys just playing on each other and feeding on each other because there's not enough liquidity there? Our indicators should show us. And there was conflicting indicators in it, so I am wanting to see if we can come down to more of a conclusion. Wow, Bitcoin dominance just moved up as we're looking at it. So this is the alts not doing as well. When this comes back up above the green line, the alts are back into red territory. But because it had dripped down here like this, I thought the alts were coming out of their bottoms and we should be switching our attention. Right now it's really difficult time because everything is switching back and forth. So all trades must be small on anything that you're getting into on this, no matter which way you think it's going. It's flipping back and forth within such a small range that you've got to start out small and be like a mosquito when you're trying to land and bite. You got to be, fly away quickly if things aren't looking good. Let me see now. Elandro, good to have you along. Uwe, good to have you here. Mr. Addy Cool, good to have you guys along. I appreciate your audience. Now we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple, which absolutely killed a whole bunch of traders yesterday. Absolutely rip-sawed everything here. It was crazy as Bitcoin was doing its move. Everything really reacted. AKA wrecked. Yeah, there was a lot of wreckage yesterday. So if you got wrecked, consider that you are standing in whale food zone. There's a zone where the whales can push the markets back and forth and you will get chewed up. They are watching things like the Bitcoin longs and shorts much better than we are. They know this stuff better than we do. The only way we can ride on their coattails is to stand back a little bit with smaller trades that go along with the trend. The more you get zipped into this stuff, the more I get hammered. The shorter time frame. And so when I'm doing the daily review, I'm looking at what's going on daily, but I try not to trade daily. I really get chewed up if I go there. Now, the one thing I am watching more closely than Bitcoin is to go through all of the alts to see what's going on with these 32 neutral markets on Poloniex. I see there's 0 trading fees on Poloniex now that they've kicked out all their US customers. They're trying to get some market share. They've got to improve their platform and their charts, really, now that I've traded on more other platforms. But anyway, neutral status coins here on Binance are starting to look better because we look at the alert status coins starting to come up a little bit, the hold status coins starting to come up a little bit. And this is the earliest of the best coins now starting to set up. And there are only on Binance, what we have 14% of the coins, 15% are in hold status. 24 coins out of the 160, those are the hot coins. And there are only 8 coins out of all of the coins on Poloniex that are in hold status right now. So these are the early risers. These are the first of the ones to go. Really important information. And you can get access to this. You can actually win the contest. Every week I'm going to hold a contest where one person who leaves a comment in the description below the video, not in the description, you'll be entered to win a draw. One person each week will have free access for the month to this bull market watch spreadsheet. And you can also now get this update every day on the homepage of the website, intro-to-cryptos.ca. So you can see the bull bear index as it's changing, but you don't get to see which coins these are unless you're a subscriber to the package. Now I want to jump into Bitcoin and go through our indicators, because for me this has come to a chart pattern that is decision time, and I really can't hold a long position if we're going below this support and resistance level. It's come down to an incredibly important level all the way through this chart. So prices coming down below this level are an exit signal for my own part. And I want to zoom out now and confirm that for myself, because we have these exhaustion wicks. I'm going to go out to the weekly view. Exhaustion candles. Very specific point for us to watch, that if it's breaking those levels, we could be coming back. We could be testing that $5,800 level now. Because of the way the longs have set up, and we have these exhaustion wicks, the way those longs set up has really, again, swayed me from one side to the other, and it's such an important point to be aware. I really want to document it all. So I'm watching now to see what does the RSI do beyond these levels in the 1-day time frame. Let's go into the 12-hour time frame. Again, I'm zooming in on what is the RSI doing from this. Breaks below this level, confirm my exit on that specific spot in the chart for my own part. Not only just an exit, but actually a very small short-term short would be considered beyond these levels. And for my own part, I've got to wait for it to break below the number 1. This is the number 2, 3. No, this is not the 2. This is the new number 3 point. So if it breaks below these levels, then it's giving me a place to take action. Let's see what the Bollinger Bands are saying as we get into them, because they have been contrary to the main indicator set at important times. So I really want to pay attention to what's going on with this. Breaks below this level is not good, and we're on the 4-hour time frame with less than an hour for that candle to close. I'm actually paying attention to closing candle times now. So this is where it's getting weak for me, where we have the 1 blow off top, 2, 3, and pulling back, and it broke that level. Damn. That was not good to have it break below that support level that it made those 3 times. This was the 1, 2, 3 touches of death. It was fading off, got a little breath of life, and back down again. So for my own part, now that it's coming up underneath this level and fading off. I want to see what the Ichimoku cloud is saying, because for me, this is looking like an armpit. This is where you sell, and down we go from there. It's its own little mini head and shoulders in this time frame, on the 1 hour time frame. So again, I'm jumping in to be whale food, and any trades that I do inside this kind of range are nano sized compared to my overall account. Okay, let's watch what this is doing, because if it holds this spot and moves up, now we have really nice bull support. And I want to watch what the indicators are doing as we're coming out of this, above it, really saving the day. If we're fading off from this, this moment, this spot, this little triangle has come right down to it. And let's zoom in. I want to document it. The RSI is always less confirming to me at this time frame. It's less clear to me. But I study it just like the Bollinger Bands until those pictures do start coming clear to me and I start to see patterns. Sometimes it's an ink blot test, but I can go back and analyze the analyst. That's the awesome thing. Okay, now we're into the weekly view, and I am liking that we are seeing less bad volume here. Like bad, less bad, less bad. Dumps below those levels are important to pay attention to. Let's go into the daily. Still holding good above this kind of level. I like it. Nice. And so that, that's good. On the 12-hour time frame, it's holding its own too. So if it had been easing off, I'd be paying more attention to it. This, shows actually a little bit of strength at the end, but nothing compared to what we had on these runs up. So that is a divergence that I want to pay attention to, that we have these exhaustion wicks running out of steam, and then we just didn't have the juice here. Like the bulls need the volume to get back up above these levels. And if they are slipping one little bit now, we're starting to slip into, I'm coming back to retest lower levels than those, I think. And I don't know. Let's go into the 1 hour time frame. Not so much volume. Zooming in on this now, I want to see the nature of the buying versus the selling. To me, it looks like the buying, when I do it this way, the buying is stronger than the selling overall for this part. Let's zoom right in and see. There was a good sharp spike of selling, but not that really extreme. Another try again, but the prices held. So this triangle, wow, it's like the point of the supersonic arrow right now. The direction it changes is going to be important. I love it. Let's go in to the MACD. Oh, look, I got to go back, because you can see where I've already drawn these support and resistance lines in from earlier, because I was feeling pretty tickled, pretty happy that we went through this support and resistance level, and that this has become support underneath the prices. But if this second level doesn't hold right here, then I'm not as comfortable trusting this lower line here. Now let's zoom back out, clear this off, take a look at our histograms, because the week is still young. We still have lots of time for this histogram to change its shape. I want to see it go shorter. That would be bullish. But if it starts extending, that's bearish. And of course, now we're going to zoom into the daily so that we can take a look at these last couple histogram candles closely. And this is what they are. These histograms represent those. And it shows that they are getting shorter, getting stronger. But even at the edge now, though overall we're getting stronger, it's easing off right here. It's got to catch itself, and this is on the daily view. So by the end of the day, this day's candle, by the next day's candle, this has got to pick itself up. If it continues to get shorter and shorter, that's more and more bearish. And should this cross, and we are still in a negative weekly cross, that means we're coming back significantly from where we are. Now the 12-hour has already crossed, and this has been an important observation for us the last few days, because of where it is showing up inside the potential 1, 2, 3 top formation. That it has already crossed in between the 1 and the 3 is often happens when we come out of a top formation. It often happens when we hit a 1, 2, 3 top formation that the 12-hour will cross before we break that 1, 2, 3. It's telling us way in advance, right? The 12-hour is crossed. This is crossed. This is crossed. Every time it's crossing to the negative, it's actually not good news. However, we are looking at a top and coming down. So if I drag this back and go back to a time that we're actually going up and see what does it mean when that 12-hour crosses over, it generally means prices are pulling back. So the 12 hours crossed over generally means prices are pulling back. There are instances, as I've gone through in the past, that the 12-hour pulls back and then goes forward because the 1 day is driving it, and usually the 1 week is driving it as well, and we don't have that right now. So while through the week I was pretty keen and excited talking about this crossover being the ignition signal, now that the longs have picked up the way they have and the price is pulled back to where it has, below those support and resistance levels inside this channel, I'm getting more wary about that crossover on the 4-hour time frame. So again, it's this breakdown below these levels here that has me unhappy. That we made this 1, 2, 3 top formation and broke down, and even broke down below these support levels to dip. So that if we are below these levels now and we are coming up and easing off, this is definite sell signals. And I'm going to put more weight and significance on that 12-hour EMA MACD crossover. Let me find it again. 12-hour, cross to the negative. 4-hour, I was all excited because it crossed to the positive, and it's still positive right now. But if this is crossing negative and all of everything else is starting to go negative, I really want to pay attention. I don't want to be holding along if this is happening. I can reposition if it's moving and changing again, but I want to reduce or remove my position if it's not proving me correct. So right now, the 1 hour has crossed to the negative as we broke below this level that I didn't like, right there. It was already showing us. So I love putting these correlations together. The break of the 1, 2, 3 top, the 1 hour crossed. Now, if this fades off from here and the 4 hours crossing, short. This is, for me, this is the word for short. This is the setup for short. Now, here is the conflicting view is on the 15-minute time frame. It's actually holding itself and catching itself. So it's got to stage up above this. The 15-minute has to hold itself. The 1 hour has to cross back positive for me, and the 4 hour has to hold itself positive. Then we should see the 12 hour starting to pick up and go positive if we're coming out of here. So we have some really clear details of one way or the other and how they are adding up using just the MACD indicator, and that's backed up by the relative strength index. So I like that. Now the Ichimoku cloud has been really good for catching those trends, and it spanked my butt a couple times, so I'm paying more attention to it. I really like that it has come up this way through the red cloud on the daily view, and that the blue line is still above the red line. We still have a twist to the positive here, and the trailing indicator is still through everything. All of this is holding well so long as the shorter time frames are getting some stability underneath their clouds as well. So if I go into the 12-hour time frame, this is still holding its stable self right here. And actually, it would allow prices to come down all the way into these ranges without really worrying, and it wouldn't change the bullishness of this cloud setup. Now that we have come up above it, it's got a long ways to go, actually. This gives us some flexibility if you're in a small long position, or if you're just holding Bitcoin. And if you're just holding, then don't freak out jumping in and out of these small ranges. Let's go in, zoom in now. The 4-hour time frame could be the Ichimoku cloud buy signal on the uptrend. That is, the price comes into the cloud, the blue line crosses above the red, and prices come up out of the cloud. The thing that we're missing here is that it is not twisted to the positive, and that the trailing green indicator here is still kind of hacking through everything, and it hasn't come up above. So those will all confirm, of course. When we break above this level, everything will be confirming. We'll have all of our MACD confirmations and everything going along with it. But now I want to zoom into the closer time frames, because if we fail and it gets down below these levels, where are the Ichimoku cloud points that we're going to be saying is an exit? So far, the cross to the negative here isn't very good, but the cloud is still good. The trailing indicator is still above everything. It has bounced off and it's saved itself. So if this starts to come back down to these levels and we twist to the negative, the trailing indicator will follow through these. It's not as clear. It's giving us more range in the bullishness as well. It's giving us, because it's come up above the cloud, it gives us that little bit of extra flexibility through this. And that's good to have in your trading system. You need to have the flexibility in the right places so that you're not jumping in and out too much. Here's the little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It is decidedly below the cloud here, but the blue line is almost crossing above the red. And that would be confirmation above this. Again, confirmation below it on either side on this really, really tight, important level. Really key levels here. Phenomenal. Now, the Bollinger Bands. Let's see what's going on with this. And I'm going to start off with the weekly view, because we have broken down below the weekly midline and we're coming up and touching against it, which in a downtrend you can touch against it. That's when you want to be selling. In the downtrend, if every time it touches against this midline, you want to be selling. And in the uptrend, every time it touches against that, you want to be buying. So do I have the log view? No. So then it has come down below the midline and touching against it. It leads me to also believing in those bearish views until we get up above that midline. And why is this new news to me that I'm looking at this? And we have these exhaustion wicks up at the top here too. So those really make me not as happy about the bullish pattern here. And again, as I zoom in, we got a double top. We got wicks off of this. That's really looking like the classic crypto sniper pissing off the roof formation. The failed 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that just sort of bleeds itself out slowly as the believers keep pushing it up. And we saw that happen in the downtrend of Ripple over the last couple of years. It was trending down, then it would blast up and then just bleed off and trend down and blast up. Very difficult market to trade long or short because of those. And so I want to view now what's happening with the midline for these closer time frames. Look how wide this Bollinger Band is. Zoom in to the 3-month view. So this 12-hour view came down to a very narrow band, came to the midline, wicked down, and is back up above that midline. If I get into the 4-hour time frame, each of these so far has been a place to be buying, though we had some pretty negative looking indicators during this time. This was saying not yet, not yet. And again, it went above the 4-hour midline. For me, this is still all down to those 1, 2, 3s. This isn't giving me any ideas. The MACD is, my friend, so far the biggest right now, because it's given us the most clear entry and exit that matches with the 1, 2, 3 formation. Like the 4-hour MACD crossing over gives us a very clear backup to our study against these technical indicators. So we'll play this back again in the future, because I am not as certain as I was earlier. Now, if I go back to Bitcoin dominance, I was playing for the idea that Bitcoin was going to continue staging up and that dominance was going to be rising and Bitcoin would be doing another parabolic move off of these levels. But I've been wrong before on pretty much exactly this chart pattern at pretty much exactly the same times. And I caught myself in time to go for a nice short out of the mistake. So I don't mind it. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Every time it was doing that kind of idea, I'm thinking moon, okay, not yet. Moon, okay, not yet. No, So I'm more open to the fact that maybe I am also seeing moon, and I better be ready to say no when it's the right time and to be getting out, or at least step back in the size of my trades. So given that we are seeing these kind of runs up and this kind of volume pattern that goes with it, if we are going to be bleeding out from here, we have come down to a very specific point with exact measurable reasons why we would be easing back on our long position or holding on to it right above these levels. Really beautiful chart, really beautiful to do the analysis on this. And it does give us decision points right now as we are testing or failing at these levels. I got to go back to Bollinger Bands because that's what this is for, is to give us these specifics. On the 1 hour time frame, no. 4 hour time frame, it doesn't give me any ideas. Not until the top of that range. So the 12 hour time frame, it's like it's got to get out of this range. It's only the 1, 2, 3 formation in combination with the MACD here today that has given us the details. Now I have completely ignored the chat. Send Crypto is in the house. Oh my God. Thank you. Good to have you here. You do some awesome analysis over on your channel. And if you guys haven't seen Send Crypto, I recommend it. He does it. Let me go back. Good morning from England. Assos man, good to have you along. Snow, I just got here. Have you seen the news for XLM? I didn't see the news, but I was long. I had bought some Dogecoin and I put it into Poloniex. And okay, it looks like it's pulling back from here. I had bought some Dogecoin, put it into Poloniex, and put on a long trade in Stellar Lumens. So when this blasted off, it's very nice. So I'll just play along with that now and see what's going on. But it does look like it's blasted off and will be pulling back a little bit from here. Look at that, how wide that is. And for the Bollinger Bands, this is definitely in the 4 hour. This is way out of the range. This is definitely a sell signal on the 4 hour Bollinger Bands. Way out of range. Like the popcorn move and then the pullback. So because I'm profitable, I don't want to play with it. I'll just leave my stop above my entry and see what goes on. If I've caught the change of direction, I don't want to do anything now. It's not my job anymore. I want to just sit back. That's it. This is the time to be a holder. When you get a position like this, you hook a fish like this, and it's at the beginning of a bottom trend, I'll leave and let it go sideways for a bit. That's okay. This has potential to more than double or triple in price. Boom, boom. So the news was that they burned $55 billion worth of coins. How can you trust cryptocurrencies in general when you have executive decisions like that create or destroy $55 billion worth of supposed value? That kind of stuff is really not good for the industry. 55 billion tokens. But really, if they can just willy-nilly do that kind of stuff, then that's not so good for the whole industry. For the value of the token, for sure. So Bitcoin wins again because nobody's going to be all of a sudden just destroying 55,000 Bitcoin just to change the supply and demand ratio to pump up the price, right? That's just blatant manipulation to put that stuff out there and do that. I'm glad I'm on the right side of it. And this is part of the risks in cryptocurrency. We know it's manipulated. We know that there are things out there that we could never plan for or be ready for. And so we want to protect ourselves against that on the downside, but we also want to leave ourselves open for that on the upside. You want to leave yourself open for that on the upside, for these unexpected, massive moves like that, and to be ready for them, for the fact that when they do blast off like that, often they'll pull back. So the Bollinger Band is great for that. This really nailed it in the Bollinger Band. But I won't close my position now. I'm profitable. It's up nicely. And it has all this room to move. So I will just chill on that. Very good. So people is playing the CME gap now. People wake up and realize it's filled. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about Doge? Is it the beginning of a new cycle? I think everything now is at the beginning of a new cycle. And for my own part, I don't know which one will go. No, I've been doing this for years. I went through the big last market cycles. I've really studied the crap out of them because I didn't do it right. I would have made an extra $500,000 if I had just switched one part of my trading approach. It was so significant and so important that I created this spreadsheet so that now I know which ones are taking off, and I just slowly invest in those that are taking off, and I de-invest when the tops are coming in. And it takes out, it takes out all the emotion, takes out all the thinking. And by diversifying across all these coins, I catch those that take off because I am preparing myself for the potential for that manipulation to the upside. I'm trying to be in position where I can benefit from that in the coins that are in the right position. So for my own part, when you say, is Doge at the beginning of the cycle? I think everything is at the beginning of the cycle. And so that I'm watching them all now, systematically, daily, methodically. And then I invest in those that are taking off. So I did buy into some Doge, and I used that to leverage trade over on some stellar lumens over on Poloniex, which is just incredibly crazy that we have a chance to do that. These financial tools are unlike anything any generation has had at their fingertips to do before. And so to grab into something that is at this kind of crazy low Satoshi level and use it for leveraging something else at its crazy historical lows, this is the chance of a lifetime. And because Doge, if I go to the weekly view, it's done this so many times in the past. I want to be prepared for it. I want to err on the side of that kind of manipulation and have some exposure to it. I still think, and I've been saying this for a year as this has all been going down, I think that we are at the beginning of a 12 to 18 month bull market in the alts that are going to go way, way, way higher. I think that what we're seeing now with Bitcoin dominance getting so crazy is the boiling effect of the money actually flowing into the markets. And we can see that uncertainty of where that money is actually going when we take a look at something like Litecoin right now, and we see how it's been responding to Bitcoin just since the 25th of October here. It really took a whack down as Bitcoin went up, but it has gathered that all back. It went up much more than Bitcoin did versus the US dollar percentage-wise. So here it took a whack down as Bitcoin went up. Here it went up as Bitcoin went down, and then it's going up as Bitcoin's going up and down as Bitcoin is going down. So this is telling me that money is flowing from the world, or from, on average, Litecoin dominance is growing versus Bitcoin right now. And it's easy for us to see in the charts that Litecoin led the way. So all of the coins that led the way in this period of time from here until the 1st of April are all of the coins that are on our hot list. These are coins that we are prepared for, that we are going to be trading more heavily than any coin that takes off and does something good now, but also didn't do anything in December, January, February, March. So there were a raft of coins that just did flat and then came down in April, and none of those coins are on our list. We don't play with any of those coins. And so even though I love Dogecoin and I am personally feeling good about Dogecoin and that it's going to be doing some insane moves, it's not on the list for the bull market watch spreadsheet. And I'm only playing in it with a small trade, but I'll be adding on these levels because that's what I do. When the bull market watch spreadsheet turns this back to green again, I will salt a little bit more of my portfolio into Doge, and I'll probably use that for more of the margin trading over on Poloniex because you can. So let me go back to the chat here. Russell Kranz, good to have you along. Everyone's playing the CME gap now. Yeah, that's freaky. Where is it? CME. I'm not used to the CME chart. Did I drag it out of the way? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which one it is. I must have dragged it out. But there we go. Just as we're talking now, it's coming to those very specific levels in Bitcoin price that says it's failing underneath the top formation. So let's go to, this is the RSI, breaking these levels that we just spoke about. Breaking this top formation, very nice little triangle pattern, not the place I want to be holding along here. This is the volume. This is the MACD. So here is our 4-hour MACD that I got to zoom into to actually see it. So should this cross to the negative, where are we? 4-hour time frame. 1-hour time frame is still dumping. The 15-minute time frame is losing steam and looking like it's going to cross to the negative, where the 5-minute has already crossed to the negative. So we see everything all lining up down, down, down. This crossing negative, I was so happy yesterday when it crossed positive, but now with the longs in what they've done, do we have it here? Yeah. The longs have gone up too much. They're not paying attention. This is a 1, 2, 3 top formation now. And this is not going to be good. We'll see liquidation notices coming in on this page. Should this start to crack here soon, we're going to see some over leveraged traders getting spanked. And it's right on the edge of my decision point here with all of those crosses coming negative as we're playing this out. It's phenomenal. Let me go back to the chat because it's not finished yet. Holy, too many tabs open. Type BCH1 into trading view. I've got too many tabs open. I'll have to just leave trading view wherever I left it. So what you see is happening on all charts. All coins are going down and up. How BTC is working that, why BTC's dominance is high. Oh, they're all connected together through bots and arbitrage and everything. Nothing is separate with these, and it's all automated now so that it happens faster than we can react to it, which is one of the reasons I recommend that we take, with us humans, take smaller positions with larger stops and give the market more room to move so that we are not getting involved in the bot-to-bot fight. The bots are fighting against the bots. This is one algorithm against another, and they cascade. So when one algorithm matches and it starts to move, then it triggers other algorithms, and they're not thinking, right? They're just moving. And so there's only a certain percentage of space that they have the power to move it through that group effort before just supply and demand and the whole emotion of the market is going to keep it in place. But if we are trading inside this zone, we're definitely in trouble right off the start because there's too many random effect events that can be taking you out from this kind of range. Even in this kind of range, we can see that from here to here, where's that shift key? Click. From there to there is 4.4%. Or if you're at 10 times leverage, that's 40%. So if you've got a system that lets you be able to start fighting inside this range, it would be good to automate it for sure. Because who wants to stay awake and be watching for this stuff all the time, all the time, all the time? That's too much for me. I want to step back from the market. Let me clear that off. Now I'm overdone the charts now. I want to step back from the markets and do less work. Let my money do the work for me. So this is super toppy looking now. Even though yesterday I was all bullish to the moon, this specific level has changed the flavor of the entire pie. So now that we are coming off of this and failing, we're coming off of this and failing, we're coming off of this and failing, it is a descending wedge pattern that is starting to feel a lot more like this, coming off of this and failing. And every time it came up to these, I was moon boy for sure. Every time it's coming down to these levels, I'm going, I don't like it. And then as it came to here, all of our indicators were just crossing negative. And I said, well, okay, I got to go short. I wanted to go to the moon, but this is telling me to go short. So I did a nice 100% trade there and probably gave 40% of it back, trying to guess back and forth through here. Had a nice long out of this and got stopped out as it came back. Didn't react to this at all. I've been testing with a long in here, but now that we're coming up to those crossovers, I don't like it. I'm good right now, but really watching this. And not feeling bullish at this very moment. I love it. So H-Zone says, the question is, if BTC will go to zero, will all coins disappear? It won't go to zero, but it'll definitely swing around. And if we go to the 1 day view, clear this off, and zoom it out to the log view. If you're new to the channel, hit the thumbs up button if you're appreciating the analysis. And if you would like to come back on our daily review of these same indicators, hit the subscribe button. If you want to keep up on the conversation after the live stream is done, I invite you to come and join us on our Discord chat. We've got all sorts of free training for people who are new to trading. If you've been having frustration with your trading and you're having difficulty with it, come and check out our free training first. I know there's all sorts of paid groups and everything on the internet, and you want to be sure that you're actually getting some real content and some real value that before you're investing in it. So scroll right down to the very bottom and sign up for the free webinar. You get the complete trading system that I'm talking about here and some additional instruction on all 5 stages of the trade, how to phase into it and how to phase out. It's so important, such great stuff. So come on over and check that out if you're new to the channel. But if you're not new, then you know I've been drawing this line over and over again. And let me get rid of this stuff. And this as well. So we're just going to have a nice clean chart on the weekly view, looking at the logarithmic uptrend. And it is my opinion that we will probably bounce against this and before we go up to new highs. And of course, I don't know for sure. But since we are seeing all these exhaustion wicks right now and that top formation, it gives me a lot, and the longs up to the way they were, it gives me the feeling that it's the perfect time for the bots and the manipulation to actually come in, crash the daylights out of all of these longs, and scoop up and purchase all of the actual real Bitcoin. You know what I mean? The Bitcoin that's on the blockchain, that's movable, that people are trading with, that they can scoop up before the really big move up to the point of inflection. We'll go up through the parabolic move again, but we're going to hit a point of inflection that goes past parabolic. Parabolic is still increasing. The point of inflection is absolutely straight up. In a day, $50,000. You know, something insane that people say is impossible. When the world's economy starts shifting over into the digital, it's far bigger than we imagine. And I want to do all the world's money in one visualization chart. Let's see if I got the right one here. Yes. Maybe I haven't brought this up in a while. It's a little old, so let's double the size of these. Cryptocurrency, let's say all of cryptocurrency here together. This was when it was $100 billion. What is it now? Does anybody know the market cap? Hard to type sideways. Coin market cap says it's 250 billion now. So it's a little bigger than this, double the size of this. That's all of cryptocurrencies. This is the world's biggest companies. So all of cryptocurrencies are still smaller than Microsoft, smaller than Apple, smaller than Google, smaller than Facebook, all of cryptocurrencies. The 50 richest people in the world could buy all of the cryptocurrencies. And we think this is big. It isn't. This is the currencies of the world. This is gold. Remember, Bitcoin is just 3, maybe 4 of these squares. We'll be generous. Say it's 4 of these squares. Very small compared to gold. And gold is only $1,500 an ounce, and it doesn't move $1,000 a day. It's crazy. So look at the stock markets compared to the size of Bitcoin. We got 3, 4 squares, and the United States entire stock market. Bitcoin is going to fuel all of these. It's going to fuel all of Japan, all of China, all of the rest of the world. That it's only 4 squares right now is ridiculous. The global money supply, if we put 1 row of the global money supply into Bitcoin, we're going to $100,000, and we haven't started a 2nd row of the world's money supply, having gone into the digital currencies. Here's the world's global debt, huge. The global real estate, we're 4 squares for Bitcoin compared, it'll be buying 20% of all of the world's real estate. Here, look at this. It's crazy. And then we get into the derivatives. This is the futures markets, where we have a financial contract that is derived on the value of something else. So this is the low end of the estimate of how valuable the derivatives are compared to the 4 squares of Bitcoin. We haven't seen anything yet. We have not even... And this is the high end of the estimate of the derivatives. We are only 4 squares. It's absolutely insanely small how small Bitcoin is compared to the actual financial world. And so for me to say something like we're going to have this parabolic and then this straight move up sounds ridiculous, but when you compare it to the size of the world's actual economy, it's inevitable. Really. And these kind of little fluctuations like this, when we are looking at something this big into the future, I want to trade in such a way that the 15-minute bars are not kicking me out. They're not taking money out of my pocket. I want to step back far enough that I'm letting this do whatever it's going to do and benefit from that super long-term view, that knowledge that we are only 4 squares out of all of those squares on the world's economy. So the easier we can do, the more diversified we can be across all of the different cryptos, the more relaxed we're going to sleep, the more fun we're going to have, and the more yoga we'll have time to go and do. Which reminds me, unfortunately, I've got to jump off now and head out to yoga before this trading decision is completed, right at the point of this triangle. So if you guys haven't already, please come and join us over on our Discord chat. I do believe there's a link in the description down below, and I can put it into the chat here for you now. I would enjoy your conversation about all of this stuff because nothing is certain, and I learn a ton of information from the people on our Discord chat. I love to provide all the information I can. If I help your stuff out, I am grateful to the great beyond that I have the chance to do this and to chat with you guys from around the world here at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, November the 5th, 2019. I'll sign off for now and wish you guys all the best in your trading here today. We'll talk to you on tomorrow's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin, as soon as I find my streaming software. Thanks again. Cheers.